Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? So I'm not gonna do things in chronological order. I'm gonna skip ahead and talk about the first country I've been to, because I've been to a bunch of states before I ever left the country. So I'm gonna give you a little backstory, and again, this is just my story and my experience. You may experience other things different when you go there, but today we're gonna talk about Dominican Republic, DR. So a lot of my coworkers go there, pretty frequent. When I started at my job, one of my best friends on the job was telling me like, yo, next year when we get our vacation, we should go to DR. A lot of people from the job go, it's fun. I said, okay, cool, we could do that. And that's where the conversation ended. So fast forward to the next year around February, he called me randomly and was like, yo, remember we talked about going to DR? I'm like, yeah, we vaguely talked about it. We talked about it for a hot second. He was like, yeah, man, in a few weeks we out. So I'm like, damn, man, I never left the country, so I needed some time, to get my mind right, to prepare, get things ready. And he was like, nah, man, I already got everything set up, this is the dates. And I was like, man, I'm at the pass, So now fast forward, when the day come that he left, I remember I was bored as hell that day. I was real bored. And I remember hanging out with my friends thinking, damn, man, I could have been DR, having fun. So I said, you know what, man, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna book it. So I booked the trip for the next month. So now I'm sitting there asking my friends, like, yo, who wanna go? But some of my friends, they don't have jobs, or the ones who do have jobs don't make enough, or the very few who make enough just started their job and they couldn't get off of work. So that leads into my motto: don't let nobody hold you back. Me, I travel to a lot of places by myself, because if you wait around for other people, you'll never go anywhere. You'll be waiting forever. So now the day comes, of course you need a passport to go to DR for people who don't know. I go there and I remember switching my currency over at the airport. That's a good idea for those who are watching. You can switch your currency over at the airport. Another thing I learned later on in life was you can actually request the currency from your bank, but you need at least a week or more, to be able to do so. So I remember I got there and I already had a taxi set up, because a lot of resorts have that set up. And the taxi picked me up. They had a sign with my name on it waiting outside. They picked me up. I gave the guy who helped me with my bags a little tip, because it's a poor country and they do things and they look for tips and stuff like that. So I remember driving and it looked different. It looked different from any place I ever seen in America. It looked real different. It's a third world country, so it looked a little spooky and everything like that by the way it looks, but nobody's paying me any mind. I remember looking out the window of the taxi and seeing a lot of people driving by on mopeds, like little motor scooters. That's I guess the way a lot of people travel out there. But also the island looked beautiful as well. So we pulled up to my resort, which is called the Vic Hotel Arena Blanca. It's a beach resort and it's an all-inclusive resort. For those who don't know about all-inclusive resorts, basically you pay one price and the food is included. So it's all you can eat food. They have different times, throughout the day where they serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Some resorts have multiple restaurants, some have different type of restaurants. So it was beautiful. Next to my resort was a chain of resorts. It's up and down the beach, there's different resorts. So when you get there, they give you a wristband so that way they can know that you belong to that resort. They had a Dominican restaurant. The food there was delicious. I mean, it was different from anything I ever tasted back home. It tastes like authentic Dominican food. It didn't taste like anything I ate home. Home, they got Dominican restaurants. It didn't taste nothing like that. They also had a Mexican restaurant and Italian restaurant. So the first night, I went to the beach. It was beautiful, clear water. That water you picture, you see in pictures and movies, it looked just like that. And it was the first time I ever seen that. So I was just amazed. They had a big pool in the front, and everything was beautiful. The weather was nice. One thing about out there, which I got a little annoyed with, is people was always trying to sell you something. So every second, somebody's coming up to you trying to sell you something. So this guy was trying to sell me something called marijuana. I found out what it was from my coworker prior to leaving. So marijuana is basically like, it's alcohol, but it's supposed to make you have sex for a long time. It's like liquid Viagra, what they call it. But it's called marijuana. So I remember I bought a bottle of that because my coworker told me like, yeah, you definitely gotta get that. And some other guy was selling me some Cuban cigars. So you know, I bought the Cuban cigars and everything because you know those are hard to find in America. It was actually illegal in America, and it was my first time being able to get access to it. So I was having a good time. Oh yeah, by the way, I stayed in Punta Cana. Well, I'm sorry I didn't mention that in the beginning, but I stayed in Punta Cana. So Punta Cana is a very expensive city versus the other cities. A lot of people that go out there, they usually stay in Puerto Plata. That's where, you know, a lot of other stuff go down. I'm gonna mention that later on. And the capital of DR is Santo Domingo. So yeah, you know, basically, you know, it's pretty fun out there. So now I'm walking around the beach, I'm smoking cigars, I'm getting drunk because included with the food is also free alcohol. Now, a piece of advice from me: whenever you go to these all-inclusive resorts, bring your own bottle because you know the water, you know what I mean, the liquor is watered down. You know, it's free, so they're not gonna give you the strongest of the strong liquor. Now, top shelf liquor, some all-inclusive resorts, they might charge you extra for that. Some of them have it in a package, like a VIP package or a privilege package or whatever they might call it. But you know, every resort is different. So I'm sitting there, I'm hanging out. I had these gold fronts. If anybody that don't know what that is, that's gold teeth. So when I get to my hotel room at the end of the night, you know, it had AC in there. It wasn't the best AC, but you know, it did the job for what I needed it to do. I remember I put my gold fronts on the table and I put my cigar on the table next to it, and the ashes from the cigar fell onto the table. And I put my cup down, my empty cup from, you know, when I was drinking, I put that down. So now the next morning we supposed to have this meeting, which is like a welcome meeting, and it's basically to warn you of the dangers of the island and basically to, you know, give you some tips and things like that. One thing is you can't drink the water. The water has different things in it. If you're from America, it'll get you sick. So that you have to have bottled water. Now, I felt like at that time they should have told me that when I first got there, but I already knew that because I got a few coworkers that's Dominican and, you know, different people who've done travel before. So I always knew when you go to different countries, you can't drink the water. So I didn't drink the water, but they didn't tell me that till the next day. But one of the other things that happened was while I was there on my first day, I wanted to do a couple of excursions. So I seen some guy on the beach. He was, you know, telling me to come over here, check out some stuff he had going on, and he was selling excursions. Excursions is basically activities, for people who don't know what that is. So I paid what was equivalent to $220, but I had it in pesos. So I gave him, you know, whatever the amount was in pesos. And for people who don't know, the currency is different. So at the time when I was out there, for every $1, it was 45 of their dollars. I think currently it might be 55 or whatever. It, you know, constantly goes up and down. But I gave him whatever the price was at the time, and I booked a dolphin, swim with the dolphin excursion. I also booked from another guy, ATV ride excursion, right? So now the next day come, I go to my little meeting, and the lady basically just telling us, you know, the island is dangerous, you know, it's a third world country, you know, they have security on the property. Basically, if you don't have a wristband, they won't let you on the property, so you're pretty safe. The thing is, they're just warning you about different things, you know, don't go nowhere at night or whatever. And it was basically, at one point they were saying, don't buy anything from people along the beach. If you buy any excursions, you know, the guy will give you basically what is a receipt and a time that he'll pick you up in front of the resort. Because usually all these excursions come with hotel pickup, which is basically they pick you up, they take you to the excursion, and they bring you back. So the lady basically told me, when you get there and you're waiting, the guy will never show up, and you'll never see that guy again, and he'll take your money. So now I'm getting worried, like, wait a minute, I just gave some guy my money yesterday. So now she's going on to say stuff like, hey, don't buy no cigars because it'll be newspaper rolled up. Don't buy no sunscreen, oil or anything because it'll be cooking oil and you'll burn your skin. And basically these guys are poor here, so they're always trying to get over. So now I'm like, oh, wow. So after the meeting was over, I come up to the lady and I said, hey, miss, I gave some guy money yesterday. So she started getting frantic, like, what? Why would you do that? And I'm like, you know, I didn't know. You know, you guys didn't want us until today. I've been here since yesterday. So now she go with me marching on the beach, and in my mind I'm just thinking this guy's not gonna be nowhere to be found. And, you know, he got my money, that's it. You know, I got. When I go to the beach, I was surprised to see the guy still there with his whole setup and everything. And I'm like, wait a minute, she made it seem like he wasn't gonna be here. So now she go yelling at the guy in Spanish, telling him to give my money back. She got my money back and was like, hey, come book the excursion with me, you know. So I go and I booked the excursion with her. And after I finished doing so, also the excursion was a little more, just to mention that, it's a little more money with her. But I go back towards the beach and I see the guy, and he's like, oh man, he knew my name, so he called my name, you know, because I told him when I first met him what my name was. And he was like, oh man, you know, I'm disappointed in you, man. I'm like, wow. I'm like, yo, why happened? I said, you know, she said you was gonna rip me off. He was like, what? I can't do that. I pay money to be here and sell my excursions. They won't let you on the property unless you have permission to be here. And that's when it dawned on me. This lady got me. She the one who scammed me. I said, oh man. So, she basically got over on me. She just wanted me to spend the money with her versus him. And that's just a little funny story and stuff. But